The world changed at exactly 3:03 a.m. across every country. The lights suddenly went out. Phones stopped working, planes froze in the sky, and the internet disappeared. For 3 full minutes, there was silence, fear, and complete darkness. People came out of their homes and looked up, confused and afraid. Then, the sky turned red like blood, glowing for a few seconds before fading back to black. And just like that, everything turned on again. TVs restarted, cars moved, and phones rang, but something was different on every screen, every device, every digital billboard. A strange message appeared. You have one shot, human. Fail and it's over for everyone. The world panicked. News reporters shouted on live TV. Governments held emergency meetings, and scientists tried to understand what had happened, but no one had any answers except for one person who was about to be pulled into something far beyond imagination. His name was Rayan, a 24-year-old mechanic who lived in a small city in South Asia. Rayan had no idea that he had been chosen not by humans, but by something far older and far smarter. While the world tried to make sense of the message, Rayan sat in his workshop, staring at the words on his dusty old phone. He laughed, thinking it was just a prank or some viral ad. But then, a strange clicking sound echoed from the corner of his room. A glowing blue ring appeared in the air, like a portal made of light and glass. Before he could run, the ring pulled him inside. In 1 second, he vanished from Earth. He landed with a hard thud on a cold, metallic floor. Rayan opened his eyes, coughing, confused and scared. Around him was a huge room with silver walls, glowing lights, and no windows. A voice spoke, calm, cold, and mechanical. Welcome, human subject number 9. Rayan looked around, but saw no one. You have been selected to represent your species in front of the Galactic Judgment Council. The voice continued. What? Who are you? Where am I? Rayan shouted, standing up. You are inside the trial ship of the High Council, said the voice, and your planet's future depends on you. Rayan's heart raced. What do you mean, future? What trial? The voice responded with no emotion. Humanity has been watched for thousands of years. Your kind shows great potential, but also great danger. Many alien species believe Earth must be destroyed. Others believe you deserve a chance. The council voted, and Earth gets one shot. One shot for what? Rayan asked, almost whispering. To prove that humans are worth keeping. Rayan backed away slowly, but the room lit up, and a large door opened in front of him. Behind the door stood hundreds of beings, tall, short, glowing, furry, robotic creatures. From across the stars, they were silent, staring at him with strange eyes. Some had no faces. Some floated without legs. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. Rayan couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Do not fear, the voice said. They will not harm you yet. What do I have to do? Rayan asked, his voice shaking. You must go through trials tests that will show your mind, your heart, and your choices. Each test decides whether your world lives or dies. Rayan felt like he was dreaming. He was just a mechanic, not a soldier, not a hero. But now the lives of billions rested on his shoulders. The alien crowd stepped aside, revealing a narrow path glowing with soft blue light. At the end of the path was another door, taller, darker, waiting. Go, the voice ordered. Your time begins now. Rayan didn't move. If I refuse? He asked. Earth will be erased. He took a deep breath, wiped his sweaty palms on his pants, and stepped forward. Each footstep echoed through the silent chamber. The aliens didn't speak, but he could feel their judgment. He didn't know what lay ahead. He didn't know the rules, the games, or the danger. But he knew one thing. He had only one shot, and he couldn't afford to miss. Asterisk. The door shut behind him like the sound of thunder. Rayan turned around, but the path was gone. There was no going back now. He was inside a new chamber, large and silent. Shaped like a circle, the air smelled clean but strange, like metal and burnt wires. The walls moved slowly, like they were breathing. Lights shifted colors, blue-green. Red then faded into darkness. Rayan took a step, and the floor lit up under his foot. Then another step, more lights. In the center of the room, a small floating cube appeared, glowing with soft white light. It hovered silently, then opened like a flower. Inside was a smooth metallic card. Rayan picked it up, and glowing words appeared in mid-air. Test 1. The Mind Labyrinth. Time limit. 60 minutes. Failure equals erasure of Earth. Rayan's hands shook. He tried to breathe slowly, but his chest felt tight. This is not a game, he whispered to himself. This is real. The floor shook gently, and a new passage opened ahead. He stepped through, and the world around him changed instantly. He was now standing in a giant maze made of mirrors. Endless reflections of himself stretched in every direction. He couldn't tell where the walls ended or began. A robotic voice echoed from above. This test is not about strength. It is about thought, logic, and memory. You must escape the maze. Before time runs out, a countdown began in the air. Why? Rayan looked around, trying to stay calm. He placed one hand on the left wall and began walking slowly. Every reflection confused him. Each turn looked the same. Then he heard its soft whispers, but no one was there. The reflections of himself began to change. One looked angry, another looked scared. One even laughed. Rayan stared at them in shock. These are not mirrors, he whispered. They're watching me. He turned a corner and found a riddle written on the wall, glowing in red. What belongs to you, but others use more than you? Rayan thought for a moment, then smiled. My name, he said. The wall opened, and a new path appeared. He ran forward, but the maze kept shifting. Each solved puzzle opened a door, but each door led to another challenge. Sometimes it was a memory from his past, sometimes it was a logic puzzle. Once he even saw his mother, crying, asking him to come home. He almost ran toward her but stopped. It wasn't real, just another trick. They're testing more than my brain, he said. They're testing my choices. As the timer hit 10 o'clock, Rayan was sweating, his legs tired, his mind spinning, but he didn't stop. He remembered his city, his people, the life he wanted to protect. He remembered a small girl in his neighborhood who once gave him her lunch when he had none. He remembered kindness, pain, and love. That memory gave him strength. At the center of the maze, a final door stood locked. A voice spoke again, different this time, softer, almost sad. You humans are strange. You destroy, yet you love. You lie, yet you hope. Explain why you deserve to live. Rayan stepped forward, looked at the glowing eye above the door, and said, because we learn. We fall, but we rise. We make mistakes, but we try again. We're not perfect, but we want to be better. Silence. Then the door slowly opened, revealing a beam of light. He stepped into it, and the maze vanished. He was now in a small round room with a glass ceiling. Above him, dozens of alien eyes watched from behind the glass. Some looked shocked, some looked curious, others still angry. The robotic voice returned, this time with a hint of respect. Test 1. Passed. Rayan collapsed to the floor, breathing hard, but he smiled. He had survived the first trial. The fight had just begun, but hope had taken its first step. Somewhere in the council, a vote had silently changed from no to maybe. He didn't wake up, because he hadn't fallen asleep. Rayan opened his eyes and found himself lying in his childhood bedroom. The walls were the same soft color, the smell of old books filled the air, and the tiny fan above made the same clicking sound as it did years ago. His mouth dropped open, confused. What is this? He whispered, sitting up slowly. The bed creaked, just like it used to. Sunlight came through the window, warm and peaceful. But something felt wrong. He touched the walls, the bed, the floor. It all felt real, too real. A small voice called from outside the door. Rayan, breakfast is ready. It was his mother's voice. But she had died 5 years ago. Rayan froze. His heart thudded like a drum. This is not real, he said, backing away. This is a trick. The robotic voice returned. Not from a speaker this time, but inside his head, cold and quiet. "Welcome to Trial 2. The mind you may leave any time, but doing so ends the test." "Ends it how?" "With failure." Rayan gritted his teeth. He opened the door and walked into the hallway. His father sat at the table, smiling, holding a cup of tea. His little brother was drawing robots on the floor. No one had aged, no one had changed. They all looked like they did 10 years ago. "Come sit," his father said. "You don't have to go anywhere. You can stay here forever." His mother added with a gentle smile. Rayan felt a tear forming in the corner of his eye. "I miss you," he whispered. "But this isn't right." The voice inside his head spoke again. "You miss comfort. You miss love. Why chase danger when you can have peace?" Rayan clenched his fists. Because peace that isn't real is just another kind of prison. The world around him flickered. The sky outside the window turned dark. His family began to cry, pleading with him to stay. His little brother grabbed his hand. "Don't leave me again." Rayan pulled away, shaking. "You're not real," he said, louder this time. The house began to fall apart like burning paper. The voice returned, louder, colder. Asterisk, asterisk. "You passed too quickly. Let us go deeper." Suddenly, Rayan was in a hospital, standing beside a bed. On the bed was his best friend from college, Zion, hooked to machines. Unconscious, Zion had died in a car crash. Rayan still blamed himself. Tears ran down Rayan's face. "You could have saved him," the voice whispered. "1 second faster and he'd be alive." "Stop it," Rayan shouted. Asterisk, asterisk. "This isn't helping anyone." The voice laughed. "It's not meant to help. It's meant to test your mind under guilt, under grief, under pressure. Do you break or do you stand?" The machine screamed flatline. The room faded into nothingness. Rayan dropped to his knees, alone in darkness. "I'm not perfect," he said quietly. Asterisk, asterisk. "But I carry my pain. I don't run from it." A light appeared. Soft and white, it grew, until it became a doorway. He stood up and walked through it without hesitation. He stepped into another chamber, this time filled with floating symbols and strange orbs spinning in patterns. The voice spoke one final time. Asterisk, asterisk. "Final task, solve the equation of life." One giant wall lit up, showing strange shapes, alien numbers, and a glowing question mark. Rayan stared at it, confused, then smiled. He walked past the numbers, stepped up to the wall, and pressed his hand against the glowing mark. "There is no single answer," he said. Asterisk. "Life isn't a formula. It's choice." Silence, then the ing. Bell rang, and the wall turned gold. Above him, the alien council watched in silence. One of them nodded ever so slightly. "Trial 2, passed," the voice said. Rayan stood tall, heart still racing, eyes still wet. He had walked through his past, faced his guilt, and stood through the storm of memory. He didn't have powers, he wasn't a genius. He just refused to break, and in that moment, some of the watchers above began to believe. Asterisk. Rayan didn't know how long he had been walking. The air had changed. No more tests, no more voices, no flashing lights or riddles, only silence and a long metal hallway that stretched into the unknown. Every step echoed like a warning. He felt watched, but not by machines, not by the council above. This time, it was something else. The hallway ended at a heavy iron door with strange markings, glowing faintly. As Rayan reached out to touch it, it slid open before him. Behind it stood a figure, tall, human, and very much alive. "Took you long enough," the man said with a dry smile. Arms crossed, Rayan froze, his eyes wide. The man wore an old Earth military uniform. Dusty and torn, his hair was silver at the edges, and his face carried scars, both real and emotional. "Wait," Rayan said. "You're human?" Asterisk, asterisk. "Yeah." The man replied, "Name's Captain Idris, Earth's first chosen one." Rayan's heart dropped. "But no one told me there was someone before me." Asterisk, asterisk. "Of course not," Idris said. turning his back. Because I failed. Rayan stepped into the room, slowly. It looked like a command center, dark and dusty, filled with half-dead monitors and flickering lights. How are you alive? Rayan asked, voice shaking, ***. Surviving and winning aren't the same. Idris replied, they kept me here, in this prison, watching Earth from afar. Watching them put all their hopes on another stranger like you. The weight of those. Words hit Rayan like stone. He sat down on a broken chair, trying to understand. So, was it real? The trials? ***. Oh, very real, Idris said. But they're not what they seem. This isn't about tests, it's about politics. Politics? Rayan echoed, ***. Yeah, kid, there are races in that council who want us to fail. They fear humans, not because we're violent, but because we adapt, fast, we learn, we grow, and that scares them. Rayan's fists clenched. So the trials are rigged? ***. Not exactly, Idris said, leaning forward. But they're designed to break you. If you pass, it shakes their confidence. That's why you need to fail. That's why I'm here. Rayan stood up, confused. What do you mean? Idris sighed and pressed a button. A screen lit up, showing Earth, spinning silently in space. ***. I'm offering you a way out, Rayan. We sabotage the final trial, make it look like an accident, you live. Earth survives, but no more alien contact forever. ***. We'd be safe, Idris added. Isolated, but safe. Rayan looked at the screen, at the blue planet filled with billions of lives. What about the chance to grow? To be part of something bigger? ***. Hope makes fools of men, Idris said sharply. These aliens don't want peace, they want control. For a moment, Rayan hesitated. Was Idris right? Was this whole thing just a game they were never meant to win? But then, he remembered the girl in the trial, offering him food. The teacher who stayed after school to help him. The neighbor who helped repair his bike without asking for anything. In return, he remembered the good in people, not just the darkness. ***. I'm sorry, Rayan said. But I won't cheat. Even if we lose, I'll face it with truth. Idris's face hardened. ***. Wrong answer, kid. Before Rayan could react, the room turned red, alarms blaring. The floor beneath him shifted, and gas hissed from the vents. He stumbled, coughing, eyes burning. ***. I wanted to save you, Idris shouted, his voice distant now. But if you won't play smart, then you'll fall like I did. Rayan dropped to his knees, the walls melted. Away into code, yes. Code as if the room was nothing but a simulation. And in the corner of his eye, he saw a familiar flash, a small drone. Watching, recording everything. ***. They saw that, Rayan whispered, coughing. They saw his betrayal. The gas faded, air returned, and he collapsed into darkness when Rayan awoke. He was in another chamber, but this one was different. It was silent, empty, and cold. No AI voice, no lights, just him and his thoughts. A message glowed on the wall. You were not the first, but you may be the last. Rayan sat there for a long moment, letting the weight of it all sink in. Someone tried to break him, someone from his own kind. But he was still here, still standing, still ready. Whatever was coming next, he would face it, not just for Earth, but for what it meant to be human. There was no trial, no test, no countdown. Only a chair in the center of an empty white room. Rayan sat quietly, his eyes tired, his body heavy. He didn't know how long he had been here, hours maybe, or days. The silence was louder than any machine, then. Without warning, the walls lit up, not with code, not with puzzles, but with images. Photos of Earth, forests glowing in morning light, oceans crashing under golden sunsets, cities alive with millions of lights, children laughing, hands helping hands, people dancing in streets during festivals. And then war, bombs, fires, tears, kindness and chaos side by side. What do you see? The voice asked, no longer robotic, now almost Human. Rayan stood slowly, walked to the wall, and touched one of the images, an old man feeding birds in a park. I see who we are, Rayan said. Asterisk, asterisk, and who we can be. The walls shifted again, this time showing short videos, memories. From Rayan's life: a schoolteacher staying late to help a poor student pass his exams, a stranger giving his umbrella to a woman during rain, a firefighter carrying a child through smoke. These moments, Rayan said, voice soft, asterisk, asterisk, they are not rare. They happen every day, everywhere, even when no one is watching, the voice replied. Asterisk, asterisk, but your kind also destroys, kills, consumes its own world. Rayan nodded slowly. Asterisk, asterisk, yes, we make mistakes, we fight, we fall, but we also learn, we grow, and every time we fall, we try again. The room darkened, and now he stood in the middle of a circle, surrounded by glowing alien eyes, the council, present again, but closer than ever. One of them spoke, not in words, but in thought. Asterisk, asterisk, then show us your truth. Human, not with data, not with speeches, with your heart. Rayan blinked, and suddenly, he was standing in front of a holographic projection table. Upload 1. Memory, said the voice. Asterisk, asterisk. Only one. Let it speak for all of humanity. His hands trembled. One memory to represent the entire human race. He closed his eyes, digging deep, beyond logic, beyond strategy. And then he remembered her. An old woman from his childhood, a neighbor named Amy Bano, who lived alone, had little money, but always had a smile and a warm meal for every hungry kid in the neighborhood. She had no reason to help, no camera to capture it, no reward to gain. She did it because it was the right thing to do. Rayan placed his hand on the projection pad. The memory played in front of the council. A little boy, cold and hungry, sitting on a doorstep. A wrinkled hand offering him bread and tea. No words, just warmth. One small act, soft, simple, but powerful. Silence filled the chamber, and then came a sound. One alien clapped. Slowly, then another and another, until the room echoed with quiet applause. One of the council members stepped forward, a creature of pure light, and said aloud, asterisk, asterisk, trial 3. Completed. Humanity has heart. Rayan exhaled for the first time in what felt like years, but he knew it wasn't over yet. He had shown their strength, their will, their soul, but there were still those who didn't believe, still those who wanted Earth gone. And somewhere, in the shadows of the ship, something was moving. A final danger, unseen, was preparing to strike. But for now, Rayan stood tall. With the light of Earth shining behind him, he was not just a test subject anymore. He was a voice, a message, a heartbeat of an entire world. And that heartbeat had just been heard across the stars. Asterisk. It began with a siren no one had ever heard before. Not loud, not sharp, but low and deep, like a beast growling under the floor of the universe. Rayan stood frozen as the walls around him turned red, pulsing like a heartbeat about to stop. A soft robotic whisper echoed through the chamber. Security breach in core systems. Then came the words that chilled the soul of every living thing. On board, Earth scheduled for erasure in 10 minutes. Rayan's breath caught in his throat. No, he whispered, looking up at the glowing eyes of the council. We passed the trial. You saw the memory. You saw our heart. But the council chambers were empty now. The watchers were gone. The room was locking down. Walls closing like a steel coffin. A new voice filled the air, rough and angry. This was never meant to be fair. Rayan spun around, eyes wide. From the shadows stepped Captain Idris, the failed human from before, his face darker now, lips curled into a bitter smile. Asterisk, asterisk. They were never going to save your planet. Idris growled. It was just a show. They made you dance, and now they pull the curtain. Asterisk, asterisk. You did this, Rayan said, stepping back. You triggered the erasure. Asterisk, asterisk. Yes, Idris replied. Because Earth doesn't belong in their clean little galaxy. Better to die free than live on their leash, Rayan clenched his fists, his heart pounding like thunder. Asterisk, asterisk. You gave up on us, he said. But I won't. He turned and sprinted down the corridor as the floor lit up with a red countdown 9:42. Behind him, Idris shouted, asterisk, asterisk. You can't stop it. The council doesn't trust emotions. It only follows rules. Rayan ran through door after door, past confused guards and blinking machines. He remembered the AI that guided him during the first trial. "Aye, are you still with me?" Rayan shouted into the air. There was silence for a moment, then the voice returned faint. But there, asterisk, asterisk. System damaged, power failing, but I will assist. One final override possible. You must reach the core chamber. Where is it? Rayan asked, still running, asterisk, asterisk. Level 7, through the flame gate. Countdown in motion. 8:30, as Rayan reached the flame gate. Fire burst from pipes above, the path burning in intervals. He timed his steps, jumped over the heated floor, and rolled through smoke, coughing. His arms were burned, his body shaking. But he didn't stop. He burst into the core chamber, a circular room of spinning energy and blinding light. In the center was a control pillar, surrounded by alien tech symbols flashing rapidly. Asterisk, asterisk. You have one chance, the AI said. Override with your memory signature. I already used my best memory. Rayan said, panic rising, asterisk, asterisk. Then, find another, the AI replied. Not for the council, but for the machine. Rayan placed both hands on the pillar, eyes shut tight, and reached deep inside his soul. He didn't think of speeches or symbols, or even survival. He thought of the girl who sang outside the train station with a broken toy guitar, singing off-key, but still smiling. He thought of the stranger who returned his lost wallet without touching the money. He thought of his father's calloused hands lifting him when he had nothing left. Moments tiny but true. A pulse of blue energy burst from the core. 612, override. In process, the AI said weakly. But Idris was there, climbing over the railing, face wild with rage. You don't get to decide for all of us, he shouted, diving toward the controls. Rayan blocked him, the two colliding hard, fists flying. They fought as the countdown ticked down 5:20. They'll make slaves of us, Idris growled, punching Rayan hard. Asterisk, asterisk. No, Rayan replied, wiping blood from his lip. We'll walk beside them as equals, and if not, we'll still try. Rayan threw the final punch, sending Idris crashing into the side of the core, unconscious. He limped back to the pillar, breath short, vision blurry, 3:45. Asterisk, asterisk, override almost complete. I whispered. Final authorization needed. What's the password? Rayan asked, asterisk, asterisk. There is no password, the AI said, only belief. Rayan looked into the swirling light and spoke with everything left in him. Asterisk, asterisk. I believe in them. I believe in us. The room exploded in white light. The countdown froze at 0:03. Everything stopped. Then green, soft green light flooded the core, and a message echoed through the ship. Asterisk, asterisk. Planet Earth status changed. Protected under council observation. Rayan fell to his knees, laughing and crying all at once. He had made it. Barely, but he had made it. Behind him, the council members slowly returned to their chambers. Silent, but watching. And somewhere in the darkness, hope sparked like fire in dry grass. Not the silence of peace, but the silence that comes after a storm, when the sky forgets how to breathe. Rayan stood in the center of a vast black chamber, alone, surrounded by shadows too ancient to name. A spotlight from above fell on him like judgment itself. Far above him, the Council of Species appeared one by one, floating in tall glass pods, their alien faces hidden behind layers of light and fog. He wasn't burned anymore, not bleeding, but something inside him felt cracked. He had passed the tests, fought sabotage, risked his life, but it still wasn't over. Not yet. A low voice echoed from the tallest pod. Asterisk, asterisk. You have survived the trials, you have shown reason, emotion, and will. But this final moment is not a test. Asterisk, asterisk, it is a choice. Another voice added, softer, colder. One only a human can make. A platform rose from the floor, revealing two glowing symbols. One was green, calm, safe, silent. The other, blue, alive, uncertain, open. The voice explained. Asterisk, asterisk. Option 1, it said. We erase all knowledge of this council from Earth's memory. You return home. Your planet is safe, untouched. But your kind will remain isolated forever. Rayan stared at the green symbol, pulsing like a heartbeat under glass. And option 2? He asked quietly. Asterisk, asterisk. We open the stars to Earth, the voice replied. You join the galactic community, but you will be watched. One mistake, one war, one act of cruelty, and Earth will be erased with no second trial. Rayan closed his eyes. It was a heavy choice, too heavy for one person. He thought of Earth, not the maps or borders, but the people. A boy in a village building robots out of scrap. A girl writing poems by candlelight. Doctors who worked without pay. Artists who painted broken walls. People who fought for justice even when no one saw. But also hatred, greed, destruction. Humans were both, always both. Asterisk, asterisk. Why ask me? Rayan whispered. I'm no leader, the voice answered. Asterisk, asterisk. Because leaders speak for nations. But you spoke for humanity. Rayan stepped toward the symbols, heart pounding. His fingers hovered between peace and risk, silence and song. He thought about Idris, broken by fear. He thought about Ami Bano, strong through kindness. He thought about the memory he had shared, the one that had moved the council. Then he smiled. Not because he was sure, because he wasn't. He smiled because he believed, and that was enough. Reached out slowly and placed his hand on the blue symbol. A soft chime rang through the chamber. The council was silent, unmoving. Then, one by one, the lights inside their pods turned gold. A sign of agreement, a sign of faith. The final voice spoke. Not as a judge, but almost like a friend. Asterisk, asterisk. One shot, human. You chose to rise, not hide. The chamber faded, the lights dimmed, and the stars opened. Literally, a giant viewing window unfolded, showing space like a canvas filled with lights, ships, and worlds yet unnamed. Rayan stepped forward, and for the first time, Earth had a voice in the stars. Not as a threat, not as a mistake, but as something rare, messy, beautiful, human.